This is Eryri, where epic comes in many forms. 9 mountain ranges, coastline for miles, acres of dense forest. Millions are drawn to this part of North Wales every year. But this is a wild landscape.
Hello!
Where the best day of your life can quickly become the worst.
Police emergency, how can I help?
There's a little boy trapped in the mountain.
And when a call for help comes in, the busiest network of rescue agencies in the country must join forces.
How did you get here?
Professionals and volunteers, side by side.
Keep going.
Each team bringing vital skills and local knowledge.
Helicopter inbound.
Of how to save a life in a landscape like no other.
2 casualties, 1 life-changing injuries.
Life is good when people help each other.
It's a vast area. I've lived here all my life, and there's still areas that when I get a call to go to, I don't know where that area is.
North Wales Police covers the whole of Eryri and beyond. They have the tricky task of coordinating the emergency response, sometimes in extremely hard-to-reach places.
We're usually first on scene. You'll be on your own, and you know that the closest backup is maybe an hour away. We'll find out what's happened, relay back to control, who can pass on messages to either mountain rescue, ambulance service and fire services. It's quite unique working in Eryri. Every day's different.
It's around 2 AM in midsummer, and the ambulance service call North Wales Police Control Centre.
Police priority, how can I help? I've got reports of a car has gone down an embankment 10 foot. Vehicle's upside down.
Okay. I'm going to see if we can get some officers to get down there as soon as possible.
The crash has happened in Abersoch, near the tip of the Llyn Peninsula, one of the hardest to reach places in Eryri, on private land just outside the campsite. Because of the long travel times and the fact they don't know what they're going to find when they get there, all the main emergency services are mobilised. North Wales Police are the first to arrive.
The information was quite minimal. It was very dark. There was nothing to be seen. Quite confusing, really, to find out what was going on.
Their first task is to find the crashed vehicle. Luckily, help is at hand.
Fire service is there on the scene now.
Control were in contact with people over the phone, and more information was coming into us.
We're there at the location now.
A couple of people that were on site already and could hear people screaming and shouting for help. We found them down quite a sharp embankment.
They've crashed in a golf buggy and are all intoxicated.
Casualties were actually outside of the vehicle. It was unclear whether or not they'd come out themselves or whether they'd been thrown out of the vehicle as it had fallen down the hill. The male had lost quite a lot of blood. He was intoxicated, he was quite delirious. It was clear that the male needed to be put onto a stretcher.
Welsh Ambulance Service were in attendance quite quickly.
All the main emergency services are now on scene. But one of the casualties needs to go to hospital, and the stretcher route to the ambulance is over 500 metres of uneven ground and locked gates. They need Mountain Rescue's volunteer force to help.
Aberglaslyn Mountain Rescue Team were called. The equipment that they have, it's vital to a rescue such as this.
Mustering a team at that time is obviously a little slower.
Golf buggies rolled down the side of a cliff, possible life-changing injuries.
It's not your run-of-the-mill job. The casualties had potentially life-changing injuries, which makes your senses a little bit more alert.
So the entrance to the site is just up here. But security apparently will let us in.
Hiya, hello.
Are we heading straight up to that fire crew there?
Yeah, just hold the short, all the left, up the hill. Okay, thank you.
I certainly am able to have a sigh of relief when they arrive. Takes the pressure off us, and they're able to do what they're best at doing.
Dave.
One guy that got there was the worst casualty. The other casualty got into the ambulance, which is there as well. Okay.
Mountain Rescue have brought their lightweight stretcher to get the casualty across fields and fences to the waiting ambulance.
So casualty for the stretcher is the one on the right-hand side on the ground, yeah? There you go. Just showing it.
From out of the basement. So cold. Yeah, we'll get you in the back of the ambulance and we'll get you warm, okay? Yeah.
The paramedic was taking observations, so to allow him to continue doing his role, we did some of the first aid. We trained at a really high level. We trained by senior paramedics, nurses, doctors.
Trauma bandages.
Dave helps the paramedics to dress the casualty's wounds.
Definitely a head injury. There was a flesh wound. You could see the base of the skull.
It's a bit of a situation you found yourself in.
It was an open wound, so you can actually see there was a lot of blood loss at one stage.
Can we have one to either end? Yeah. Ed, if you slide out end in for us, buddy, when you're... Okay, 1, 2, 3, lift. Slide. Okay, when ready, down.
They managed to load the casualty onto a stretcher, but he's not happy.
You don't need to go to the hospital, for God's sake. You didn't know, honestly.
No.
The casualty wanted to walk, wanted to get off the stretcher, which is normal with a head injury.
If I say I don't want to go to the hospital, you can't take me to the hospital.
We'll deal with that in the back of the ambulance. We'll deal that. Right.
A lot of people with head injuries don't know what they're doing.
Stay there.
Their arms start coming out the way and trying to push you out the way.
Just work with us for a bit, buddy. Yeah. The lads are only here to help.
But we managed to subdue the casualty just by talking firm with him. And I think it's building a bit of a rapport, letting the casualty know that you're there to help.
Yeah. So yeah, just bear with us. I know it's not the nicest thing, buddy.
No, we just get him down.
Just get him in the back.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to lift on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Nice and steady. That's me. Any problems, please let us know.
So orientate towards me up the hill, so we're going straight up.
It's not an easy stretcher carry, so all the teams must work together.
If you're available, can you go ahead to the stile, to the other side, and then we'll hand over. Nice one. Right, to the stile, and then we're going to go up.
Okay. Gates were locked, so we had to manhandle the casualty over the gates. Of course, we got burly firemen and firewomen to assist us. That's why that stretcher was used, to get over gates, to get over stiles with ease.
That's it, hand over hand.
Fire service don't carry that kind of equipment.
Rest it on there now.
The ambulance don't carry that kind of stretchers.
All right,
I've got it.
You got it? We got a camera on. Yeah.
It's something that we train for. That is one of our major skills.
Okay, boys. Yeah, I think it's going to be front and back till we get on the other side of the caravan. Get in the side, boys. We're there, boys. Yeah. We're through. walk forward, and stop. Okay, after 3, 1, 2, 3, and slide.
Yeah.
Excellent, well done, cheers guys.
Perfect.
Right, that's it mate.
Cheers guys.
No worries mate, no worries. Stay on guys.
The casualty is transferred to the ambulance and seems to have had a change of heart along the way.
In the back of the ambulance, he was very apologetic, certainly thankful of us being there at the end.
Thank you very much for all your assistance.
That's fine, buddy, that's fine.
Sorry to cause you an inconvenience, sorry.
It's okay.
No, yellow for yellow.
Because of the time it wasn't night, it was very dark. It wasn't in a very lit up area. They were quite lucky someone had managed to hear them. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have been found or noticed that they were gone until the morning.
So, I'm going to leave you to these guys. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
The man is taken to hospital in Bangor to be treated for his head injuries.
It's important that we do have these multiple services that are able to work together and provide and support each other, because no job's the same and we always need that little bit extra of help. It was just a pleasure really to be able to work with the different agencies on that night. We've all got our own skills. We rely on our colleagues to support each other and we get through it.
Okay, come on.
Yeah. Right. Good off, boys.
Yeah, cheers.
See you later. So, boys.
But teamwork like this doesn't just happen. Behind each one of Eryri's rescues is a unique infrastructure called SARCall, used by North Wales Police, which helps the professional and volunteer emergency teams work together.
The SARCall system is fabulously useful for us. We are a central hub for all those rescue agencies. Everything kind of filters through us.
Okay, stand by.
When calls come in, trained officers are standing by 24 hours a day. Their job is to decide which teams are best placed to respond.
We're doing it now, yeah. We've got a crew coming from Wrexham Mile, we think. Just stand by for a sec.
If we didn't have organisations such as Mountain Rescue, we would be absolutely inundated. Having that valuable resource takes a huge amount of strain and pressure off.
The live log also helps the different agencies share information, particularly vital in parts of Eryri where normal communication is impossible. Wales' oldest forest, Coed y Brenin in South Eryri. The ancient tracks are perfect for mountain bikers, making it a hotspot for adrenaline seekers and emergency rescues. But the landscape also makes modern communication methods something of a no-go.
Coed y Brenin, lots of valleys, very limited mobile phone signal anywhere. Yeah, a real challenge, real challenge.
Cara and James visited the forest in August 2021 on a mountain biking trip.
It was a gorgeous sunny day. The trails were really dry.
I'd done the trail before. We're having a great time.
Their route took them past Pistyll y Cain, a remote and dramatic waterfall that flows 65 feet over terraced rock cliffs.
We saw it before, but last time we went, we saw it from the bottom.
So we thought it'd be really cool to go and see what's at the top of the waterfall.
James and I are always chasing views, so thought it would be a good thing to do.
The couple walked up an unmarked path to the top of the waterfall.
I'd taken a couple of steps over this particularly wet bit of rock.
He said, "Be careful, it's slippy." In that moment, my foot had already made contact.
She started sliding. I couldn't get to her.
Didn't know I was falling until I saw the cliff face in front of me. I don't remember landing at all.
There was no sound, so I immediately thought the worst, and Cara was dead. I was screaming at the top of my lungs.
The shout was blood-curdling, and it was obvious that something very bad had happened.
By chance, Laura, a doctor on holiday, was walking near the waterfall when she heard James's cries for help.
We could see a young man scrambling down the hill. He looked completely ashen. And he said, "She's dead, she's dead. There's no way she survived this." When we managed to scramble down to Cara, she was lying in a pool of blood. And I sat next to her, and I talked to her, and I kept my finger on her carotid pulse, so the pulse in the neck, just to constantly monitor her heart rate.
With no mobile phone signal, Laura and James flag down a group of cyclists and send them to call 999.
Yeah.
The air ambulance is called in from Welshpool. Along with South Snowdonia Search and Rescue.
So we knew the location. We were aware already that the air ambulance had been requested. That comes as a bit of a comfort to know that there's such expertise en route.
The air ambulance drops off 2 paramedics as close as possible to the waterfall. They make their way through the forest and down into the ravine with the South Snowdonia Mountain Rescue Team.
The priority for us was to be able to get people safely into the gorge. It was a dangerous descent, and any sort of slip or trip would have ended up with another potentially serious incident.
With the teams now on scene, it's clear Cara needs to go to hospital urgently. But the air ambulance can't land in this deep ravine. So the Coast Guard helicopter is called to winch her out. Nearly 3 hours after Cara's fall, the Coast Guard helicopter arrives.
We were really, really relieved. If Cara had died, I would have felt responsible, probably, that I wasn't able to do more for her.
But getting her out won't be easy.
Now, the complicating factor for the Coast Guard helicopter was the gorge and there's huge trees. And there's an enormous downwash from the helicopter, you know, which sort of brings branches and all sorts of debris and detritus down the people below. So they were really mindful of that and coming too low. They were able to lower a winch eventually, but it was pretty much at its maximum length.
It's a dangerous operation. Mountain Rescue help by fixing a high line, which stops the winchman and stretcher from spiralling out of control.
We actually had to employ 3 separate teams up the cliffside. Really quite complex.
Cara was airlifted to Royal Stoke University Hospital, where she needed 3 consecutive emergency operations. She was in hospital for nearly 3 months. She had broken her spine, her pelvis, and all the ribs on her left-hand side, and suffered significant internal bleeding.
The injuries were quite severe. They were surprised that I'd survived. I had my bike helmet on when I fell, which definitely saved me. Just one of those freak accidents where, you know, you slip and it changes your life forever, basically.
Her recovery's been really challenging. It's been a long road, but her optimism has always been pretty inspirational.
To know that I fell 80 foot and I can still use my legs and walk around is absolutely crazy, really. I feel really lucky that all these people were working together to save me.
Coordinating Eryri's different emergency teams is just one way the SACOL system helps rescues run more smoothly. The area's 6 mountain rescue teams also use it to alert their volunteer members when a job comes in.
And there's information within the SACOL system about which team leaders are available, team members, how many people are trained in certain things, what vehicles they have. It's made a big difference.
And the system comes into its own at busy times.
And 3, 2, 1, off you go.
Today, it's the annual Welsh 1,000-metre peaks race, which runs through the heart of the Ogwen Valley.
There have been the odd casualty. In the past, we had 11 call-outs. It was known by the team as the longest day.
Ogwen Valley Mountain Rescue are standing by for race-related emergencies. But this landscape doesn't always play by the rules. And when a call does come in, it isn't from the elite runner they were expecting.
Good afternoon, Oggy Baker speaking. Your wife, you think she's broken her ankle? She can't wait there.
A woman called Lynn has tripped in the Goderau Mountains at a beauty spot called Comidwell and can't walk.
Comidwell is a hanging glacial valley off the main Ogwen Valley. It's kind of well sheltered from the elements, but even on a nice sunny day, people can get very cold very quickly. We need to get there quick.
Oggy Base, it is a query broken ankle at the back of Comidwell under the slabs over.
Oggy Base, Mobile 1, that's all copied. We'll make our way up towards the slabs. Over.
Stretcher, Chris? Yeah, that's all good. Thank you.
Steve leads a small advance party of rescuers up to Lynn to assess her injuries.
Thank you very much, Shaz. Diolch fawr. Base 247, just for info that we have deployed from Ogwen Cottage as a party of 3.
Meanwhile, more volunteers have had the call-out alert and arrive at base. They form a stretcher party with all the gear needed to carry Lynn off the mountain if the advanced rescue team can't get her back on her feet.
I was having a nice walk.
It's always the way.
I know. Well, I had a new knee in July. Okay. Had a hip injection the other day. Oh. And I thought, oh, great, walking now. Yeah. But went straight down there and I went, you know, like that.
Okay. So you've tried to put a bit of weight on it?
Yeah.
And no luck at all?
No.
This was Lynn's first walk since recovering from knee replacement surgery.
I'd been stuck in the house chomping at the bit to go for a walk. It was lovely to be able to go out and not have any pain, you know. And we did get about halfway round, so, you know.
If we can't get you walking, then we'll probably put you in a stretcher and carry you down, okay?
Yeah.
Can you try and move your foot for me as much as you can? That hurts there.
Well, we were just walking up this path here. Next thing, I just seen her sort of
you know, stumbling. I think she sort of missed her footing on this gap here and then jarred her leg.
That is the usual thing that happens to people. Comidwal is a stunningly beautiful place and there's plenty to look at. I spend a lot of time not looking at my feet either whenever I'm there.
As an orthopaedic nurse, Lynn's used to looking after other people's broken bones.
In fact, ironically, I'm orthopaedic.
Oh, are you? You didn't write it. And was there any noises when you when you went? Did you hear anything?
No.
Pop or click or no?
I was too busy pirouetting at the time.
The stretcher team arrive on scene, but Steve's keen to see if they can avoid carrying Lynn down.
Hello, gents.
Is all right now on site?
Yeah.
It's a bit of an organisational nightmare to move a stretcher with somebody in it with enough people to get it going on small paths. You're also going over very, very rough terrain at the same time. So I was quite happy in that stage that if Lynn is willing to have a go, that I would put her into a boot that would stop her foot from moving too much, and she would try and do a bit of weight bearing on it.
If I go out like that, yeah. Are you all right like that? I'm sorry. Okay. Oh!
Like you say.
Right, no, look.
Good.
It was just the intense pain, and I could feel it swelling as well. I suppose with the job I do as well, I knew I'd cracked something.
The fact that she wasn't able to take a lot of steps was a red flag for us, and we decided to err on the side of caution and stretcher her out.
Let's be safe.
Okay.
Let's stick you in a vac mat, and we'll potentially go for an X-ray.
I'm so sorry.
Don't you worry. Don't apologise at all.
Right, heads in.
Yeah.
You go there with it.
1, 2, 3, lift. Starting to move with the stretcher. Afraid all call signs are on the stretchers. We're starting to come down now.
Bogey base, roger, many thanks. That's all right.
Narrow left. Steps down.
Step down right.
Raising up.
All the way down, yeah, I kept saying sorry, and they're probably sick of it. It was so hard for them, you don't think, and it takes so much of their energy to do that, you know.
There's no way we would have been able to get to here in the time that we did, if at all, really. It would have been, you know, been a nightmare.
Doctors at Wrexham Mailer Hospital later confirmed Lynn had fractured her heel. Fortunately, her replacement knee survived intact, and the experience hasn't put her off.
Definitely going back, and I do intend to actually go up Snowdon as well once I get a bit more strength in my leg. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you did and making it as easy as it was.